Welcome back to the channel, everybody. We are headed to Humboldt, South Dakota on a beautiful Saturday morning for the annual threshing show over there. And if we don't get there on time, there's going to be big trouble.
So let's get going.
Used to be the knock on these things on international harvesters was we had to actually mount the tractor to start the PTO. This is a Model M, and I'm not familiar enough to know actually where the PTO control is. There's a lever here that looks like it might engage the rear PTO, but like on John Deere, you'd two-cylinder, you'd set the brake, and then you'd have your hand clutch, so you could engage the power takeoff by just sliding the hand clutch forward, and you wouldn't have to actually mount the tractor to start power. But there's other things that IH tractors are better at than John Deere's or hand clutch type tractors anyway. So then, whereas a John Deere on in a belt situation like this, all you have to do is run that hand clutch forward, and then you got power without having to get up on the tractor. Green or red, take your pick.
Green.
Choose carefully. A Farmall cultivator tractor and a single cylinder stationary It's all in the flywheels, boys. Put your butt there. I guess you'd consider that a forerunner to the Bobcat. Alice Chalmers orange. I've always wondered if that's the same orange as Milwaukee Road or not. Our 445 is a two-cylinder too, but it doesn't sound like that. One time I asked my grandpa Dennis about tractors on steel wheels back in the day and how they did on roads, and his response was something to the effect of people didn't look where they drove back in the day. So far, if I had my pick, this would be the machine. And probably out of the two cylinders here so far, this Model A. Okay, so maybe I'm a little indecisive here. Here's my new favorite, the 70 John Deere. Out of the two cylinders anyway. Here's a weathering project for you. I believe you call that patina. Really nice unrestored original here. Looks like this has been working for a living until recently. The guy sprung for the deluxe Roll-O-Matic front end. So one tire goes up, the other tire goes down, and it smooths out the ride for you a little bit when you're out plowing or disking or whatever you're doing in the field. So that's green, but That's an Oliver, is it 77, I'm guessing? Probably somebody's pulling tractor. A nice looking unrestored original. Who'd ever thought back in the day that the case name would survive so long? Fling that poo, Sassy.
Flinger.
Made in Canada. Nick, you know anything about this? Gambles. 4020 with power shift, rated best chore tractor ever. That one's even a side console. Nice. So an old Willys Jeep. Modern Jeeps are for people that what?
Like to buy accessories.
There's a cold blood plow tractor if I've ever seen one. You even have a 3-point hitch on this old 730. Pretty cool. Why doesn't ours sound like that? Strange. White. White. Because White Farm Equipment at some point bought Minneapolis Moline, and then White itself was, what's that? Yes. Whenever you see a John Deere, well, any model John Deere 2-cylinder, the earlier ones look like this. They're what they call unstyled, and I believe this is, I think, pre-war. And then they got an industrial designer out to put all that hoods and cladding on them and stuff. And mechanically they're identical, but this is probably an example of a, well, I don't know, since it's on rubber that doesn't tell much, but maybe a later production unstyled A. My grandpa Dennis had one of these. I can't remember whether it was a 400 or a 450 with a dual loader on it, and that's the way he moved snow back in the 80s. And he didn't have a cab on his. Well, I don't know if any of these had a cab on them, but he had emphysema and stuff and some breathing problems where it kind of bothered him to be out in the cold. And anyway, that was part of the reason they ended up moving off the farm, for him not to have to move snow on that long and steep driveway. Imagine moving snow with a loader on a big place like with a tractor like this now. So here are the plow boys, I guess. A couple of 430s, a couple of 120s, and a 332 here. These are all set up with 3-point hitches and ready to plow. So a key difference between the older series John Deere's and like their 445, 425, and 455, they all had hydrostatic, but the difference is the hydrostatic control is down on the right floorboard with the newer tractors, and the hydrostatic on this older series like your 318s, 430s, 420s, and that was up here on the right hand. They're maybe slightly less handy, but. And then they also had, all of those had the split brake, which I don't know if many people care too much about that with the use of the use of the differential lock on the newer tractors. Probably don't really need the split brake. Got Phoenix here with his 430 John Deere, and he'll say a few things.
Alright, so this was, everyone calls it the worst tractor ever made just because of how long it is. Personally, in my opinion, they're a great tractor. Now, if you get it into some wet spots, it will spin out just because of all the weight is up front. The design they made in these tractors is they put the engine and radiator all the way to the front when there was a 332 sitting here and it's all shoved back and it's about this length. So it's a better iconic tractor to be using. If you want it for better use, I would get a 332, but if you want to be the odd guy out, get a 430 because you're just cooler than everything else.
Cool.
So, and and it's optioned with a 3-point hitch on the back, and it's got a 12-inch Brindley plow. And you can, if you look at the one in the back here, my buddy has. He has front weight bracket. He's got a custom hood stack, wheel weights, starter weights, LED lights, underglow. He's got the 3-point rear hydraulics and a rear PTO on the back. So it's a very good setup, outfit for going to any little plow day.
The whole package.
Whole package.
Neat.
So,
Thanks for showing us these.
not a problem.
It looks like we're corn shelling here earlier. So here'd be another example of an unstyled John Deere. I'm not sure whether that's an A or a G, but then the gas 630 here and corn sheller the way it looks. Too bad we didn't get to see this running. It looks like the John Deere show here with the 60 lowboy. 1980? What do you mean? So the Minneapolis Moline Model Z was also a hand clutch, like the green 2 cylinders, and it happened to be on the same side of the tractor. As I remember, you could swing that seat around based on where you needed it. And then there's your hand clutch up on the station. This guy put a little bar on there so he doesn't have to reach so far to get to it. Forward is to go, engage the PTO, and to move forward with the tractor, or I guess if you have it reversed, to go back up.